It's 6 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone to our November 3rd Select Board meeting. All the select persons are here in person, and to our Zoom audience. It's zooming. The first item on our agenda is to approve our minutes from our October 20th meeting. I would entertain
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the October 20, 2021 Select Board meeting.
Second.
Lee Gustafson's the motion, and Lee Dakin's the second. Any corrections, changes, omissions, errors? Any thoughts on the minutes?
I have none.
None at this time.
Everybody's good with them? All those in favor of approving the minutes as written, please say aye.
Aye.
And anybody opposed? Nope. Next item is citizens' comments. If there's someone here that would like to address the board, excuse me, regarding an issue that is not on our agenda, now would be the time to do so. Are there any citizens' comments? All quiet. No answers from previous meetings, nothing going on with that. All right. Next item is our bylaw modernization grant. All right. We need an application approval. Julie, can you take us through that? I believe you were at the Planning Commission meeting Monday and had a discussion with the board there regarding this.
I did. So there's a brand new grant program out through ACCD. It's the Bylaw Modernization Grant, and it really is a grant that's preparing towns to be getting ready for dealing with housing issues. It's funding specific to that. There has to be a housing nexus to it. So this grant, while we do have to go out to bid, we are hoping to use regional planning. I will say that, but we do have to go through a formal bid process with this. But this will take a look, really focus on our village center area. We'll look at a lot of the housing data that's out there, maybe do a little bit more, gather a little more housing data, and help with kind of merging what the housing needs are with the zoning. Are we zoned properly to be allowing for the various types of housing needs that are identified for the village? So it does a couple of things. Number one, it helps us with the housing, but number two, it helps the Planning Commission with some of the zoning stuff that they've got going on, and will help focus on the village center area in lining that up. So this is a brand new grant for that. Timing is great for us. So the board, what I'm asking the board for is adopting the resolution that you have to sign, and then I have to sign. Planning Commission has to sign, indicating approval to apply for the grant.
Julie, what is the time frame on this? I know you said it was optimum for us, but when's it due and when's it awarded, and how does that work?
It'll be awarded over the winter, probably by December, maybe early January, and then we would go out to bid. This would likely start working in the spring. Yeah.
How much?
How much is the grant? The total project is $27,000, and the grant itself is
24,894.
Total project is $27,660. Grant funding $24,894, and our match would be
So it's
$27,000.
$3,000.
So our match is $2,700. Yep. Yep. Yep.
And we're hoping that it's, I mean, you said we have to go out to bid on this.
Yeah.
But regional planning is
Well,
our hope for the bid.
correct. What we'll do is a request for qualifications on it. And regional planning will be bidding. Obviously, we will go with who is the most qualified, as we are required to do, but, yeah.
That sounds great. And the Planning Commission was on board with this?
Planning
and they're-
Commission is on board with it as well, yes. They signed it last night.
So I would entertain a motion to
Authorize you to sign.
authorize the chair to sign our FY22 municipal resolution for bylaw modernizations. I can't say that word, modern, and something happens.
Modernization.
Modernization.
So moved.
Good job.
It's, I don't know. Oh, who,
I'd like to make that motion.
Heather's the motion. Is there a second on that?
Second it.
Please, a second. Any further discussion on this? Any questions, concerns, anything? No? Hopefully this will work out well and help with the process of redoing our zoning bylaws and
Yep.
everything that goes along with it, and especially where I guess it's regard to our housing. This is housing orientated more so.
Correct, yes, it's,
But you-
yeah.
And I'm assuming this could be a springboard to other grants or,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this
Other-
this aligns with the municipal planning grant, but because of the housing crisis that the state of Vermont is facing, they took some of that money and put it to direct towards housing-only related issues. So, absolutely,
Nice.
yeah.
and I think, you know, $3,000 or less, 2788, whatever it was, seems like a very low,
Yeah,
that's good.
And there's a lot of help in here. I mean, you know, when you look at the hours, almost 300 hours and 160 on this, there's quite a bit of time and work that's going to go into this. And it always helps to have a grant to help along with the costs on something like this. Any further discussion on this? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All set?
Yeah, just sign it there. Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is the financial review for the third quarter, heading towards the end of the year.
We are.
And Julie,
I just realized this agenda is out of order. Put those other items before old business. I don't know
that's right.
what happened, but anyway, whatever.
I didn't catch it until I read old business.
Well, me either, until I just,
I was
That's
wondering if
okay,
you
I'm
were
just
being
going down the line.
creative.
no, well, keeping us on our toes, I guess. Anyway, whatever, it doesn't matter. So financial review, there's not a whole lot to report on. Things are holding steady and looking good. Right now, department heads are, as always, doing an amazing job keeping costs down, spending wisely, getting good prices, et cetera, which has been a big help. Revenue is coming in as expected, a little better than expected, which is good. Amy is working on a few tax sales that we will likely be doing first thing in January on some of our most egregious properties. We have some that are pretty egregious that we'll be working on. Yeah, so expenses, I mean, everything is looking fairly well. A few things over, most things are under. Sil will be working in the next couple weeks on making the transfers, and school payments will be reflected. Those were done in October, so aren't reflected here. Some of those bigger pieces, capital transfers, et cetera. So that will, once we do those things, it gives us a much better picture of where we are. But at the moment, we are looking
Not too
fairly
bad.
well and holding steady, which makes me happy. I wasn't sure where we would end up. So, yeah. But I don't know if anybody has any specific questions. Again, not a tremendous amount of changes from the second quarter, but.
Anybody questions, concerns?
No, thank you very
You know,
much,
I ju-
Julie. Go ahead. No, I just wanted to thank you for doing the work.
Heather?
Well, looking over this after, 5-6 years, it's pretty amazing how we can do a budget that's pretty reflective when you don't know gas prices, when you don't know weather, so I just think it's pretty good.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables in here
that we just don't
that
know.
you
And
can't anticipate, for sure.
There
And
are.
then the COVID thing for, let's just call it 2 years, blah, blah. So anyways, it's pretty amazing.
Julie, with the library, when do we make the payment to them, that
So
81,000?
that is something that happens, if Sil hasn't done it already,
It's
it's
this time of
coming.
year, usually after
Those-
taxes?
Correct. Those major transfers don't take place until we have collected, or until tax payments have become due and we have paid out the largest portion to the school.
It's the same thing with those articles that are
Yes.
on
Yeah,
town
we don't,
meeting,
we're not
so-
going to borrow to make those payments, so we wait until we have the revenue in.
I see a little bit, like in the police department, the payrolls. What was I looking at?
So that,
You know, when percent of the budget is 94%. So is that, why is that one not like 75 or like the rest would be? and
so
stuff?
you were looking at the payroll line, that is, which one are you looking at? There's a couple
111,
payroll lines.
2110, it's like about page,
111, 2110, so that's at 73% police salary?
no, 94%. Total police payroll, 94.
Oh, well, that's because what you're looking at is you're looking at PD other. So in that number
Oh,
is the
okay,
special
all right.
detail, and that is offset in
Okay,
revenue.
yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anybody else have any questions or concerns or comments regarding it? It all sounds,
You will see, I would point out that, some of the things that we did this year that we ended up doing that were unbudgeted things were all the security cameras
Yeah.
at different places. We felt strongly that, given what's going on, the things that happened at the Pinnacle, Cavendish Town Garage has been broken into a number of times with stuff stolen from the inside. There's just a lot of that, so we have installed security cameras on all the facilities. Town Garages is next, I just got a quote on that. So that stuff was not budgeted, but we felt was very important to do. So cuts have been made in other places to kind of help offset that cost, but we didn't feel we should be waiting to get that done, so.
I'd like to thank all the department heads for always being aware of the budget and doing what they do as far as to keep it where it is. When we go through times like this and we have so many unexpected things, to juggle a budget, like you were saying, Heather, like this, with so many moving parts, and still, most of the time, they're always,
Yes.
really keeping it in line and under budget and keeping things going.
And the other thing that I'm really liking is the comments for the select board.
Good.
Gee,
Yeah, good. Hopefully they're helpful. They help me because I can't remember. Like, why?
No, well, and they
Like,
answer-
wait a minute, why was that up? So we just make a note, as we're doing things, we just keep notes in there. And that's how Sil and I communicate with each other also.
Can I make a
Like, can you look
suggestion?
at this? And,
Can I make a suggestion about that? If you could put the date that comment's added,
That's a good point.
sure. Yep,
that would be very helpful, because I'm looking at these and I say, oh yeah, I remember that one, and other ones I don't, so.
yeah, we keep them in there throughout the year.
Yeah.
To remind us.
yeah,
Yep,
it'd
I
be
can.
great. Thank you.
Yes, we can.
Comments for the select.
Maybe make a bigger font?
Yeah, that I was thinking of. But I have some stronger glasses, and on the computer, you
I
can go
could
like
use a few
this.
extra pieces of paper, just,
I can do that.
Well, if you want to be kind.
So that's the town budget, and we also have the water and sewer budgets in front of
Yes.
us.
Water sewer are both also looking good. Some cost overruns, if we look at sewer first. Flushing, although it's not a cost overrun, what we noticed and Jeff pointed out afterwards is in that flushing line 412-34-3701, that collection system, that should be moved to the flushing line, which is, line flushing, which is 04. So Sil just needs to reallocate that expense, and you'll see that that line is no longer over. But the jet motor pump needed replacement this year, again, not planned. We've had to do some system upgrades on the pump stations. So a few lines over, but things that, really needed to be done while we had the money. But again, both water and sewer are holding steady as well. Water, there was the valve replacement on the green. 2 valves needed to be replaced on the green. We had planned on 1. He got in there, needed to be 2. And then the GIS mapping. So the water lines are now mapped. And the guys, and they're still working on that, actually. The guys now have a device where they can go on site, pull up the location, see what's in the ground, and start using it as a digital inventory, which has been really, going to be really helpful for them. So that's that line of GIS.
Julie?
Yeah,
The tractor,
the tractor.
weren't we gonna buy a it was in the budget? Wasn't it in the budget last year?
No,
We just talked about it.
a tractor, I think we did that last year, 2 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
You want me to step out so I can talk?
Yeah, why don't you go around?
Change your hat, Jeff.
Yeah, the tractor
That
was in
was
21.
many years ago.
That was a couple years
I'm
ago.
blending years.
And
Closer to that mic, Jeff.
we bought a small Kubota four-wheel drive tractor that we use, has a loader, and we use for snow removal and mowing, and it's been a great asset, actually. It's something that, and it's rugged enough to take some of the punishment that we give it.
I thought that was last year, so sorry.
Nope, 2 years ago.
No, that should come out of it, but
Jeff, how old is that Jeff motor, the jet motor
the
pump?
jet motive pump was
It's not that old.
2006. They don't
Oh.
make stuff to last.
Oh,
When they
that's-
did the upgrade, that's when that was done. So we now have a spare for that. So, because when that's not working, within a short period of time, the tank can go septic, and it's not processing the way it should, so we have one spare for both tanks. And right now, we're keeping our fingers crossed. It's amazing with this situation we've gone through. We have a volute that's leaking in our, one of my the main pump station, one of my pumps. And I ordered it, I could see that it was gonna be a problem. I ordered it 5 months ago, and I still haven't got it. So the last 2 weeks, it was crumbling, so we're running on one pump down there now. So with a wing and a prayer, it's supposed to be another 2-3 weeks before we get it, and that'll have to be changed out. And I have one down there, a spare down there, but it's for the other side, because they both pump in different directions. It can only go on one side, so. And that's not in here because I haven't received it yet. But it's like almost $9,000 for that thing. And when you order it, they don't have them sitting on the shelves. They have to mold them. They have a dye they put in sand, and then they pour the cast into it. And we still haven't got it. It's probably sitting on one of those container ships out in the ocean somewhere.
Huntington Beach, it's probably out there somewhere.
Yeah, so.
But it's
And
not something at $9,000 a pop, you're gonna have a few sitting on our shelves.
no, I have, like I said, I have one down there, but it's for the other side.
Right, well-
But I'm afraid to touch it so that one doesn't fall apart. But as soon as we get the other one going, then I'm gonna replace that one. But that one I had replaced ordered last year, and it took a good 4 months, so I didn't get it until February, March this year. So it came out of this year's budget, but I had ordered it last year, so. It's just really hard. You've got a plan to have this stuff ready, because if you need it in an emergency, you're not gonna get it. So,
It seems like you've always been, on both those departments, pretty proactive when it comes to having things on hand for things that are critical when they go down or they break or something, which is a really good strategy to have when you're
I've
providing a
learned,
service
they
like
never
that.
things don't break when it's convenient.
No.
It's during a holiday or on a weekend or something, and if you don't have the parts, you're really in a tough spot, so. And you can see both departments are still in the black pretty good right now, but, and I think, other than that volute, I don't see any huge things coming out of it, other than some of the stuff that I'm spending over to the town garage to help them get their water in there, but that's gonna go into the project money, but I have to spend the money initially, so it will be coming back, so.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Oh, go ahead, Jeff, I'm sorry.
no, other than that, with our new man, we've got a lot more done this summer than I ever expected.
Yes, Wayne has been a valuable asset.
Yes, especially with his electrician's license. He
Yes, it has.
saved us a lot of money, and he's got connections for getting electrical parts and stuff that I wouldn't be able to get, and he gets them at a good price, so. That was one of our smartest moves this year, I think.
That was, yeah, yeah.
Well, that's really good news that that's working out.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It is.
Anybody have any questions for Jeff while he's here regarding the sewer or the water departments? Rolling along. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
And for finances, you guys will have a first round draft of the budget at your next meeting. Jeff will be here to talk about water sewer, will be the first budgets that you look at. And then the two meetings in December, the other department heads will be coming in and we'll be kind of morphing the budget as we go, but you will see the first round at your next meeting.
All right, any other questions? Everybody all set on the financials? We'll go on to our old business. A little out of order, but we're still okay. Old business, Julie can take us through that list.
I can. So Brookside Bridge, Goliath came to install the piles for the bridge. While they were doing it, unfortunately, about 4 feet down, they hit ledge. They had not come and done any testing prior to, so that did not work out. Kirby went to Plan B, which is some waste blocks that we had purchased ahead of time anyway. That seems to be going okay. And so he's continuing with that. We had Naomi, we've talked to Stream Alteration to make sure we didn't have any issues. And we had Naomi run the hydrology on it again, just to make sure it wasn't going to change, because we were permitted for piles. And waste block is obviously a very different thing than piles. So analysis came out fine, so we were okay to proceed that way. This is going to just be a wonderful project to get done.
Julie, what's the span across the brook there?
So by the time, we can't just span the brook, we have to also span the floodplain.
Right,
And
no,
we have to span, so I believe by the time the bridge goes across and slopes, the bridge part is 105 feet.
Okay.
And
The first-
do I have this right, Jeff? It's 105 feet, and then as it slopes down, it's like another 60.
The first major span is 40 feet,
Yeah, over
Across-
just the water is
Right,
40.
right.
Just the main,
just to make the,
Right.
No, I've done those hydraulic analyses, so I just was curious
Yeah.
what the,
Yeah,
The pilings are in for the Brookside side, for the field side.
We got the
And the
abutments
blocks
there.
are all
Yeah.
pretty much
Yeah.
stacked up on
Yeah.
the other side.
Yeah.
When the company came, they started their borings and they'd hit 3 or 4 feet. And I'm not sure if it was ledge, but they were hitting huge cobbles because I guess it's an old riverbed there and stuff. And that type of system isn't conducive to try to drill through cobbles. It just gets pushed to the side and it's too much pressure and they can't do anything. So they tried about a half a dozen
Yeah.
holes. They tried a bunch of different places and nothing was working out. And I think they realized their mistake without doing the test holes. Otherwise, to make sure it was okay to even attempt this type of procedure with those type of pilings. So Plan B is working out pretty well.
yeah.
yeah, if you look at the Williams River on this side of the valley, that's what it looks like over here, only buried under
Yeah.
smaller material, but yeah.
So the initial span's 40 feet, and I think then it's going to be every 20 or 30 feet as it starts coming down from the elevation, because I think when it gets across, it's about 3 or 4 feet above the flood, that area, and then it slowly has to slope, and I forget the foot drop per 20, it's like a foot per 20 feet or something.
We
that
can
it
go,
has to
we
start
can go
coming down.
18. We had this
18?
discussion with Naomi the other day. We can go We can go 18 feet for every drop.
For every foot.
For every foot of drop. So it ends up being, that ramp ends up being about a 60 feet worth of slope down.
And that's to meet ADA requirements?
Correct, because that's what we want to do, is meet the ADA requirement. Yeah,
The final plan will be that it's ADA accessible as you go across, ramp down, and pretty much level till you get to the one area of the trail where there's a old, I don't know if it's just a cow path or whatever it is, but it stays level across that whole width, all the way from pretty much the elementary school to the Stewart property, where you'll be able to go back and forth on that. I mean, you're not going to get up onto the trail proper and make a loop around, but you will be able to get into the woods, across the creek, and into the bottom area there, and it's still a nice area to visit and take a look around and stuff for ADA, accessible.
and the second half of the project is that as it comes down, it comes onto another like boardwalk that kind of gets you the rest of the way across. That application, we are doing what's the VORIC grant, which we are merging with Chester, Ludlow, and Weathersfield on a regional grant application. Chester's will be hiking, Ludlow will be mountain biking, and Weathersfield will be river access. So that'll be a merged grant that we're working on right now that would fund the last part of that Brookside Trail.
That was a question at the CCC meeting yesterday, and it was brought up about that with Ludlow, Cavendish, and
Yep.
Chester, that grant.
Yep.
And I didn't know the answer to it, because I had to get back to you to find out whether that's, because you had spoken about that
Yep.
before, but that's what that
We
is for the rest of
submitted,
that trail?
we submitted our letters of intent. We were invited to apply, so we made the first round. We were invited to apply, so we're working on the applications now. But yes, that's what we're using it for. It will be the kiosk, and the ramp, and the, not the ramp, the boardwalk, and further improvements to the trail system. Yeah.
I mean, the trail has been blazed, it's blazed in yellow. And if anybody wants to jump across the river and take a walk,
There's no rope swing?
no, not yet. It's amazing that river, this time of year is usually trickled down to
Right.
almost nothing. It's running like
Yeah.
it's springtime.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's true of all the rivers.
Yeah, my brook never dried up this year, and ever since I can remember, it would dry up in August, never.
Yeah, in August, we were a trickle, the river that goes, the Williams that goes on our property, and it is, I can hear it from my house just rushing through now. It's wonderful.
It's just weather.
It's weather. So Popple Dungeon is finally paved. Lee's going to be very happy about that. The crew will be out to do the apron stuff now that the paving is done. Yosemite,
Julie, sorry.
yeah,
Could you repeat what you said? Is our town highway doing the shoulders and stuff?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be out to do that.
Yeah, I got a question from a constituent
Yes.
earlier today.
Oh, yes. Probably the same one that called Kirby. Yes.
No, it's my wife.
Oh. No, I don't think she called Kirby. Yes, the town crew will be doing that part.
Okay.
Yosemite, the drawings are almost complete. The Paul Brune grant has opened up. We've been invited to apply for that this year. And since we were able to get the Academy Building roof funded through the Historic Preservation Grant, I'm thinking about using the Paul Brune grant for the window and door restoration at the Yosemite. That would be our last exterior piece other than painting. The Paul Brune grant is a great funding source. It does not have a big match to it. So we could potentially get all those windows and doors restored, which would be fabulous. Then that building would be airtight and done. So that's the plan right now. I think we'll be in a really good place for that. We've done a lot to the building over the past several years. We've acquired the land for the parking. That issue has been checked off. We have the plans. That's being checked off. So we should be very competitive for a grant, award. So that's the intention on that.
That's great news.
Yeah, in the Academy Building, the slate was delivered a while ago. They were hoping to be able to get to the roof replacement this year. He's still holding out a little bit of hope, but reality is it'll be spring.
Well, the chipmunks and the squirrels are pretty excited about it because they're scurrying underneath the
Oh, I
tarps
bet they
back and forth. And I think all the black walnuts in that whole neighborhood are all underneath one of
Underneath our
those
slate.
tarps.
There you go. So that's, I think, what I have for old business, although something popped into my head and went right back out again, so.
Join the club.
Yep, exactly.
Anyone have any old business?
Well, with the funds that we're receiving and their
ARP,
ARPA?
ARPA, yeah, the ARPA.
Could we look into seeing about the solar fields? Remember, we were thinking of
Right.
purchasing those?
Yeah, that option
And
comes
it's-
up next year, I think.
Is it in 2022?
I believe it's 2022.
Okay, so I just, that's what I forgot, that I remembered and then forgot, you know? But that might be a good use of that
That would be
money,
an
or some
excellent-
of it.
That would be an excellent investment, in my opinion.
I think so too. It's just how to get the money.
Right.
So, and I think this is an opportunity to do some things that maybe we don't want to put on the taxpayers.
Yeah.
I
Anyways,
will add it
that's-
to the list and send it to the, VLCT has, the league has hired, we hired a lady who is managing all of the ARPA stuff, and she's just phenomenal. So we can send our ideas to her, and she vets them. She has that direct connection to the federal source, so they're able to vet through and match things up. So I'll send that to her and ask.
That is infrastructure.
Yeah.
You know, I mean. it's
Well,
water,
infrastructure is
sewer.
what's not allowed. So, unless it has a COVID nexus. Now, water sewer infrastructure is. However, there are little loopholes here and there. You just have to know how to make the loophole. So she is really good about saying, yeah, we could make that, you know, over here, or,
That's where the
Nah,
well
you're
field
not
is,
gonna.
right?
huh?
That's where the well field is, that's water.
I know. Well, you would think
We
water
can
and
try.
sewer, electricity, water, sewer, those are all kind of related.
Yeah.
We'll ask.
Well, and
We'll ask.
not knowing the details of it all, from my point of view, something I think I should be doing is in my head brainstorming about creative, good ideas. that-
Exactly.
Not to say, okay, it can only be this, Heather, because if I do that, then you miss out. So I think it's the time to throw tons of ideas out.
Exactly.
And see which ones
That's right.
do count and
Yep.
which, and we're spending, our ideas are much more than the money we have, I'm sure.
It's about 4 times. But
But the thing is still then you know, okay, well, a third of it doesn't apply, so 2/3 of this, then you're making a conscious decision about,
Well, and the other thing to be creative about, and that's why the department has the same thing. If you've got things that you're thinking of, just throw them at me. I mean, I've got a spreadsheet started. Let's just add everything to the list. Because you never know what can be taken out of the budget that ARPA money could be used for, which then frees up taxpayer dollars for other projects that may not necessarily be connected to the ARPA funding. So it's a bigger picture. So
So if we
we put
really-
everything in there.
yeah. So if we really wanted the solar fields, maybe, and it didn't apply, but we saved money over here
Correct.
because of that, then maybe
Correct.
we could have,
Exactly.
justify it to the voters.
That's right, there's lots of different ways to do this,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
The other thing is the state, I mean, there's a lot of grant programs being developed, because the state has their dollars too. So, a lot of these projects, I'm waiting to see if state programs are gonna fund, and spend their money first. So, we have time. There's no hurry to spend our money, so we have time.
And maybe we should get some money so that we have wireless or something. No, I'm kidding. I'm just worried about it.
For this oh, that's not, actually, that you say that, but it's actually on the list.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
okay.
It actually made the
Another
list.
thing, are we doing construction downstairs?
We will be doing construction downstairs, so it started. They have ripped up the flooring, done a bunch of work in the offices where the police department was. Steve will be, I have put the down payment on the new carpet. Sil and I are picking out the paint colors. Some of it I was kind of pushing closer to the end of the year, because again, we're kind of over the budget on some of this stuff, so get it into the 2022 budget, but, you know, to get it done. So once the office space is done, which is just a coat of paint and carpet, Sil and I will move. we'll move zoning back and listers over, and then he'll start the demo on the front office part, which will also be repainted, have new carpet and a conference room table.
Great.
I'd like to go on the solar field thing again. I mean, I was one that pushed for that initially, and I still have no idea how it works, how much, how much they pay us, how we actually get money back from the solar fields. But I can tell you, there's several months where the water, and when I sign bills for energy, for the power bills and stuff, like, normally they would be for the well and the wastewater plant, they may be $2,200, $2,300, and some months it's zero. And I don't know, we've got to be saving anywhere from $26,000 to $28,000 a year on energy, just the way it is, but I can't imagine what it would be if we owned them. And I have no idea how that works, but I can't picture that it wouldn't be a good investment. I know I have solar panels on my, what I call chicken house, that Lee put on there for me.
Yeah.
And it's nice to look at my power bills at the end of the month, and all I'm paying is the fees
Yeah,
to process it.
yeah.
So I definitely think it would be a good idea to look at what we can do for it.
Yeah, we'll circle back to that at the beginning of the year, for sure.
It's been, I guess, it's a 7-year thing, because I thought
Yeah.
it was the initial,
Yeah.
was 7 years ago, and then there was an option at 7 years and another option at 14. And they had amounts associated with it. And I forget the details, but like you said, Jeff, they had a whole formula. I explained it all, how we got there. And I think you're right, that the savings was 20, 30,000 a year or something.
Yeah, plus we get
And-
rent
And
and
that's
we
in
get-
our small part. If we owned them, there's another whole chunk that would come our way also. Of course, we take on the responsibility of, there's other issues, I guess, that could happen.
Maintenance or whatever, you know, but-
Equipment maintenance or breakdowns and things like that. But I guess it would be a
As far as mowing
wise
around them,
financial move.
it would, something that my guys could take on, because you can see how much mowing we do up there as it is, but, I mean, it would be a few extra added hours, but, because we wouldn't have to mow them every week, but.
Herd of sheep.
I was gonna say bringing goats or sheep.
Sheep, it's already fenced in, there's
Exactly.
water,
Yep.
there's shelter.
Exactly.
I
Keep the
could take them
coyotes
over
out.
the winter,
The goats work pretty well, too.
and I take care of them for y'all.
We're
I
gonna,
think they're
we're gonna
cute.
hold you to that, Heather. Be careful what you say on the record here.
Because I've been thinking about getting a couple goats, but then, they're kind of, well, anyways, that's another story.
Is there such a thing
I-
as town goats?
We could have town goats and, yeah, okay, but could we put that on the agenda in January? Because I think it's gonna take me a bit to understand all the details. And then what the finances are. Could you see if we have to be in executive session? Or is it just, is there any negotiation with this company? Or is the deal just the deal?
No,
Because
there's a
you don't need-
negotiation point. There's a negotiation point.
Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe.
And there's a lot to understand because they have contracts out. So when you buy the solar field, we're also buying the balances of those contracts. So there's a whole piece to this that Lee's going to have to help me understand.
Well, and
So-
we may need legal advice.
Oh, we are definitely going to need legal advice.
But,
Yeah,
and put that in the budget,
Yep.
because I think we
Yep.
should really look at it, and before the tick, 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 tick
Yep.
clock.
yeah. We'll start it in January when we get the
Okay.
budget done.
And could you just check, double check the date?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Anything else on old business? Anybody else? Actually makes sense. We go straight from old business to new business.
There you go. I did it on purpose.
Future agenda items? One concern that was brought up to me, actually a couple of them, one of them was on new business, is that parcel of land, and maybe could be on your list of ARPA things, the Orchid Forest. The one that is next to the Pinnacle. That's for sale again from the New England Forestry Association.
It is on the list.
It is on the list.
It is on the
that
ARPA
ARPA list.
It
All right.
It made it to the list.
And I was curious about it, is just to at least maybe get some details on ownership and covenants that go with it, or easements and things.
The access
Everything you need.
would just sign off, who knows? I mean, it may just be some conversations that need to take place, so I can
Well,
certainly look
and
into it.
Remember when we were thinking of the big, huge property?
Yep.
Out there?
Yeah.
There was a lot of positive community support for that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it could certainly would be a nice expansion to the hiking trails. The run that they have started doing, they're hoping to be an annual thing, that utilizes some of that land, would be great. The disc golf, I know, would love to kind of change their course and go out that way a little bit, so there's a lot of potential use. But it did make it to the list, yeah.
Just a thought.
Yep,
It's 31.2 acres,
31.
31.2.
which one? The one for sale or ours?
It's just north of the Pinnacle.
Yeah,
It's parcel ID 100118.4. Does that sound familiar?
no, I have no idea. Thank you for
Vermont
the
Forestry
confidence that I would be that good, however.
Yeah, I remember that. Another item that's come up from a few business owners in town. About a year ago, we had talk about the cannabis, that's the legalization in this, in the state, and the ramifications for the towns, opting in, opting out, and everything that's associated with it and stuff. I think we're getting to the point where we have to decide as a town what direction we want to go. The Cannabis Control Board is starting to narrow down their recommendations and their,
It's coming.
yeah,
Yeah,
how it's all going to work.
So you're talking about legalizing retail sale of marijuana? Is that what you're talking about? Because we already have cannabis growing in the area.
Yeah, the retail sale part that's the state is, the Cannabis Board is working on right now, and everything that goes with that, about the taxes and the fees, and, I mean, there's, when I was looking at it the other day, there's like 50 pages of
Yeah.
discussion and different ways it can go and stuff, and I guess,
Yeah, they're still working through.
And we have to vote on it anyway. And is our plan,
Well,
is that right?
we don't,
No.
I don't know,
No,
and
what's
that's,
the deal?
It-
Did they?
I think Londonderry did too, but.
Well, and Ludlow had a presentation.
Yep.
Which,
They were looking for more than just a retail sale piece. Ludlow had a bigger part of it, yeah. Yeah.
but we don't have to vote, Lee?
What? I cannot, there's no way I could read that. You're gonna have to, you're gonna have to read it, Amy. We can't.
How about adding some parking in the green district?
What was that?
Parking in the what district?
The green, the village green.
The green. That's one of the things we're gonna be looking at, Arnie, is parking. Tim, sorry. Me.
Right here.
Lee Gustafson has mentioned that a couple times. So parking is one of the things we'll be looking at. Actually, when we start looking at the housing, parking is gonna be a part of that.
Right.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Maybe down the road.
Is there anything else, Amy? Okay.
Well, the cannabis issue, I don't know enough to even to know what exactly we have to do or not do.
A lot of that is what the Cannabis Control Board is now working through. The LCT has had a lot of input into it, been fairly well ignored, but they've been fairly well ignored, but they have had a lot of input into it. But a lot of those details are ironing out now, so towns are starting to kind of ramp up with what they're going to do.
Right, 'cause I think
So,
we're talking about 2022
yes,
being the time when we would decide one way or
correct,
the other.
correct,
Well,
As much information as we can ahead of time would be great.
yeah.
I heard the 2022 number last year. Excuse me, what I've read recently is that that's not the deadline. The deadline's further out than that. I think
Yeah,
we
the
have
deadline
more-
is further out, but it's
I don't know that it's a
2022 that a lot of the
deadline, but I
towns
thought
will
that-
start looking at
Yeah,
it.
we don't have to vote on
No.
this anytime soon.
No,
Well, could we have it on the agenda just to let to get a little bit of an update
Sure.
on where it is in the process.
Sure.
I think, personally, I'd like to hear more about where the control board's coming down, or whatever the board is, because I'm not sure that there is enough detail and enough specifics for me to be able to make a decision one way or the other.
Yeah.
So I agree, yeah, it should be an agenda item, but just for our information, not
For an
necessarily,
update.
not necessarily public input, although we can get public input, that
I'm
doesn't matter.
going to be in Montpelier tomorrow. I have a VLCT board meeting tomorrow, so I will ask Gwen and Karen where that is at and if it's a good time to start our local discussions for what we would be looking for.
And then you can get back to us.
Sure, yeah, I can do
Well,
that.
the information that just came out a day or two ago
It's new.
was from the board.
Yep.
And it did have basically an A and a B type of path to take. And it went into quite a bit of detail regarding the tax revenue and the fees and the regulatory stuff. So there is quite a bit out there. And whether it changes that much from what's out there, it's a possibility, but it at least will give you an idea of what's going on and what they're going to be proposing and how it would affect things, because there's like 5 or 6 different tiers on retail, on growing, on cafes. I mean, there's a slew of things on there. The one thing that I saw that piqued my interest was the tax revenue, which is still
Yeah.
minuscule compared to what it should be
Right,
if you're going
it's-
to end up going that route.
Yeah, because we don't have a local option tax in Chester.
No, so, but it is something to at least get it on our radar, see what's
Well-
going on, so we could become informed about it, because we did have quite a few citizens last year that wanted it on our town meeting vote, and we told them that as it got further along, we would investigate it again.
Last year, there was little or no
There was no
information.
Yeah.
And
No,
I don't
the-
think there's a lot more this year that I've seen.
The control board is just now making final decisions on things. This is very, very new. The information is starting to flow. There's still more decisions to be made at that board level. The process has been quite confusing. And so a lot of the municipalities have stepped back and have just waited for them to go through their process. So decision-making is just starting to happen at that board level.
And I don't know what
I'll get updated.
type of tax revenue they're talking about, but I'm assuming it's all going to go to the state and not the.
Except they're thinking, and we probably shouldn't be having this discussion, we should have an update, 1 or 2%.
But even that is highly debated.
Yeah.
They're not.
And whether they
Well,
even
let's
do
get an
that.
update
I will.
with facts,
I'll be at the league tomorrow. I will ask.
and maybe a timeline, you know what I mean?
Well, they haven't abided by any timeline to date, so, yeah.
No.
Well, because I know that there's a lot of interest,
Yeah, absolutely.
both ways,
Both ways,
wanting
yep.
to do something and not,
Yep.
so.
Yep.
Any other suggestions for future agenda items? No? Next item on our agenda is an executive session to discuss a response to the petition to form a collective bargaining agreement submitted by the Chester Police Department. I would entertain a motion to go into executive session for that purpose.
So moved. I make a motion that we go into executive session to response to the petition to form a collective bargaining agreement submitted by the Chester Police Department.
And I'll second it.
Lee is the motion and Heather is the second. Any discussion on it?
We're going to invite in Julie.
Yeah.
And Jeff, you're recusing yourself?
I am.
Yeah. That should just go into the record.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
All right?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Give it a few minutes to get everybody